Friends, by the end of this video, you will believe that Christianity and science share one of the most fascinating and complex relationships, because both seek to understand the nature of humanity, the universe, and the Creator, though from different perspectives. Let's explore this relationship through 3 key stages. 1. The early era. Unity of faith and knowledge. In the early Christian era, when Europe was shrouded in darkness and uncertainty, faith and knowledge were not seen as enemies, but as companions on the same journey. Great Christian thinkers like St. Augustine and Thomas Aquinas built bridges between reason and revelation, showing that faith is not blind belief, but the beginning of understanding, and reason is the light that guides it. This was revolutionary thinking, for it opened the door from dogma to discovery. Augustine once said, "Faith precedes understanding, but understanding strengthens faith." In other words, we first believe in God, and through that belief, we strive to understand His creation. In the Middle Ages, the Church became the center of learning. Monasteries and cathedrals were not merely places of worship, but also centers of research and study. Within their walls, Greek philosophy, mathematics, astronomy, and medicine were preserved and studied. Christian monks engaged deeply with the works of Aristotle, Plato, and Ptolemy, interpreting them in the light of divine wisdom. This preserved knowledge became the seed for Europe's later intellectual awakening. Thomas Aquinas gave philosophical depth to this harmony between faith and reason. He argued that human intellect is a divine gift, meant not to oppose God, but to bring humanity closer to Him. According to Aquinas, science explains the how of creation, while faith explains the why. This balance between observation and meaning paved the way for the scientific revolution. In the 17th century, thinkers like Newton, Kepler, Galileo, and Descartes, many of them devout believers, carried this spirit forward. Newton, after discovering gravity, declared, "This law is proof of the wisdom of the Creator, who designed the universe in perfect order." Kepler famously said, "I am merely thinking God's thoughts after Him." For these scientists, studying the universe was not rebellion but worship. Even Galileo, often remembered for his conflict with the Church, was a man of deep faith. He wrote, "God has written 2 books, the Bible and the Book of Nature, and we must study both to understand His wisdom." To these early Christians, science and faith were not in conflict, but 2 complementary ways of perceiving the same truth. This mindset that exploring creation is an act of devotion turned medieval darkness into the dawn of discovery. It taught that reason without faith leads to arrogance, and faith without reason becomes blind. This unity of knowledge and belief is what transformed a stagnant Europe into the cradle of modern science and philosophy. 2. The modern era, the rise of conflict. When the Renaissance and Enlightenment brought intellectual freedom, reason began to rise as an independent power, often standing against religious dogma. The real clash erupted when Charles Darwin published On the Origin of Species in 1859. His theory of evolution suggested that all living beings, including humans, evolved over millions of years, not created instantly by divine command. This directly contradicted the biblical account of Adam and Eve. For Christians, it was not merely a scientific debate, but a spiritual crisis. For if man evolved by chance, where does divine purpose fit? Church authorities initially rejected Darwin's ideas harshly, branding him as a heretic. But as fossil evidence and genetics advanced, science gained credibility. Faith and reason began drifting apart, one seeking divine purpose, the other mechanical causation. This divide reshaped the Western world. God created was replaced by nature produced. Science explained how, but not why. Yet some believers sought middle ground through theistic evolution, the idea that God used evolution as his creative method. Still, many religious conservatives rejected this as compromise, while atheists claimed God unnecessary. This tension produced two worlds, the world of the church and the world of the laboratory, both searching for truth, but in isolation. Over time, however, it became clear that science cannot answer every question. It can describe the mechanism of life, but not its meaning. It can measure time and matter, but not purpose and morality. Thus began a slow rediscovery that knowledge without faith is incomplete, and faith without knowledge is fragile. 3. The contemporary era, reconciliation and dialogue. Today, in the age of quantum physics and genetic engineering, a new harmony is emerging between Christianity and science. Many modern Christian scientists now believe that science studies the work of God, while faith contemplates its meaning. In this view, science tells us how creation unfolds, and faith tells us why it exists. This is not compromise, but maturity, an understanding that truth can be approached through both logic and revelation. Science and faith are seen as two languages describing one reality, one through observation, the other through contemplation. The intricate order found in physics, biology, and cosmology is interpreted as evidence of divine intelligence. John Polkinghorne, a renowned Cambridge physicist and priest, beautifully summarized this harmony. He said, "Science explains the how of creation. Faith explains the why." For him, studying the universe was like glimpsing into the mind of God. Modern discoveries such as fine-tuning in cosmology, the precise balance of physical constants, have reignited spiritual awe. Physicist Paul Davies wrote, "The universe seems to have been designed deliberately for life." Christian thinkers interpret this as a reflection of a conscious creator. Even in biology, Francis Collins, leader of the Human Genome Project, declared that DNA is the language of God. He sees divine handwriting in every molecule of life. Thus, science no longer denies faith, but often leads toward it. Today, major Christian universities and even the Vatican Observatory embrace scientific research as a path to divine understanding. Pope Francis said, "Faith and reason are not enemies, but partners in the search for truth." This integrative approach teaches that revelation and research complete each other. Faith gives purpose, and science gives process. Together, they bring both intellectual and spiritual balance. Modern physics, consciousness studies, and artificial intelligence are now raising moral and metaphysical questions that point back to spiritual roots. Questions like, who defines life? And can a machine possess a soul? Remind humanity of its moral boundaries and divine origin. Thus, science seems to be circling back to its spiritual beginning, the search for the creator behind the cosmos. In the end, the message is simple yet profound. Faith without reason is blind, and reason without faith is empty. When they unite, humanity not only understands the universe, but also its purpose within it. As Polkinghorne said, the universe is not just a mechanism. It is a creation. And every discovery in science is another glimpse into the mind of God. This is the point where study becomes worship, and knowledge becomes prayer. This is where conflict ends, and true dialogue begins. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to my channel and support this journey toward truth. Peace be upon you.